You are listening to the Savage FINcast, episode 67, Things You Can't Draw at a Coffee Shop.
Chicago. A criminal mastermind called Overlord held our city in his terrifying grip. Ordinary cops were losing the battle against Overlord's super freaks and mutants. Then, a miracle happened. When I found him, he had no memory of his past. I helped him find an identity and a life. Now we have a fighting chance. Now we have the Dragon.
This is the Savage FINcast, the show that's more interesting than Twitter. My name is Jim Purcell.
I'm Craig Olsen.
I'm Raven Perez.
And we are coming in with a new episode, a new exciting episode. We will later on in this episode, talking to the one and only Erik Larsen. It has been about 6 issues since we spoke to the man, the legend. It's about time we have another chat.
Half a year is too long for this podcast. We were Erik depraved.
Depraved?
Deprived?
Deprived. I mean, we are Erik depraved.
That's true, actually. So, I stand by what I said. And, I'm sorry. Like, what were you going to say?
I was just going to segue. You go.
What's funny is I was going to segue. Segue, bros. So, basically, let's do the news, which is skinny. Oh, so skinny. We got a new cover, Savage Dragon 234. Guess who's back? And the cover is Guess Who's Backside, because that is a hella Rapture Sidewinder / booty.
Lots of side boob.
Loving it. Shout outs to Side Boob for getting me through these cold winter nights.
I find this cover hilarious. Those who have not read 231 will make certain assumptions about it, and then people who have read 231 will see it and think other things.
You know what's funnier? What if you're still wrong?
I very well could be.
That's what's so fucking crazy about the old razzle dazzle that could be happening here.
And what is the razzle dazzle that you guys are?
We're dancing. We're dancing all around.
Which Malcolm are we seeing? We now have 2 Malcolms. One with his face shaved, baby-faced Malcolm, and one with a beard, hairy Malcolm.
Double Dragon.
We now know why he had the old switcheroo on the secret cover with the goatee put on.
Think, though, I want you to say it's kind of impressive, because you know those Tusken Raider guys are rocking dong. And yet, there's not dong one on this cover.
Well, Angel mysteriously has her clothes too.
Yeah, I know. I like that Angel is clothed, but Rapture, not even. So, like, the cape she was wearing could have hid her backside pretty well. Nope. It's blown the fuck out.
People don't care about butts.
No one cares about butts.
Are you guys saying butts are behind us?
They cannot lie.
American society is all good with butts.
It is. I think
butts
it is
and
okay
butt
with
stuff.
Butts. Yeah, butts and butt stuff. It might not be okay with butt stuff. Also, Savage Dragon Archives hit Volume 9.
The 9 is in the wrong place.
That's it, baby.
I have through 7. I need to get 8 still.
Yeah, you slacker.
There's actually a really neat thing about 9. Apparently it's got pages from the Spawn issues, and Erik has rewritten them or unedited them.
Oh, wow.
From Todd's meddling.
Nice.
So it's actually could be a new reading experience if you want to grab a copy.
Oh, that is cool.
I love those archives. I just love seeing all the art in black and white.
And it's always worth saying that it goes beyond just being in black and white. He works hard on them to make them look like black and white specific. So, yeah, fuck yeah. You know what, guys? You know, I got another news item for you.
Where did these
Get
come
out
from?
of here.
Surprise news. I'm just busting out the surprise news. You want to know what this? It's coming from SavageDragon.com. It's amazing. Stefan, you're the man. We got new text for the issue 233 where Malcolm is shaving and Maxine has shaving cream on her hoo-ha.
Okay.
Chasing the Dragons.
What?
There's official copy for that issue now.
Very cool.
Chasing the Dragons, the reality show starring Malcom Dragon's ever-growing family debuts. And impending doom is just around the corner. Another outstanding achievement from award-winning writer-artist Erik Larsen. I'm just saying, Chasing the Dragons, if that's the name of the TV show, that's kick-ass.
Except that it's a euphemism for heroin use.
Maybe that's intentional. We don't know yet.
I imagine so.
We have no. Maybe they want people to be addicted to the TV show. Oh snap! You got to think like Walden Wang, Jim.
I do.
Why? I read Walden Wang like as Asian Aziz Ansari, which he's already Aziz is Asian too. So fucking edit that part out, Jim, so I don't sound stupid.
Too late.
Too late. Just keep it in. Keep it in. I'm stupid. But I'm just saying, when I read Walden Wang, I get that Aziz Ansari vibe. You know what I mean? Think Parks and Rec. Aziz.
I'm afraid I have not actually seen a lot of that show. Wait, not the guy from Hangover.
The Indian guy.
The Indian dude.
Oh, the Indian one. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now just imagine his voice is Walden Wang.
Huh.
No, this is gonna be fire.
Yeah.
Everybody's gonna love you in this TV show.
No, that's not what I was hearing.
Yeah, I can't say that's what I was hearing, but
Haters.
now I will be. Thank you very much.
Haters. It's okay. Can't win them all. It can't all be home dunks. Well, that's it for the news, guys.
Yep.
SavageDragon.com. It's keep your finger on the pulse.
So we did get a nice letter from a fan of the FINcast. I'm going to read part of it, not all of it, because there's a lot of it. He says some things to say, and he offers us a new FINteresting Conversation, which I think we'll be using later in this episode. My name is Travis Johnson. I'm guessing you'll read my letter because my name is very easy to pronounce. Very true.
That was a knock, I feel, at Sotiris Gravis.
Mostly at me.
Oh, okay. Good deal.
I can't do names either.
That's okay.
I've been a fan of Savage Dragon since college, and because of Erik Larsen, a fan of comic books in general. I've had an hour drive to my job, and after listening to every book on CD at my local libraries, I found podcasts. Your podcast is the fourth one I subscribe to.
Fourth? What?
I know, right? After binge listening to all 65 episodes, as I'm typing this, I wanted to contact the Fin friends to thank you guys for the fantastic podcast. Well, thank you, Travis.
You're welcome.
Glad we're your fourth.
Guy's pouring his heart out to us, and we're just bitching.
Not me. Travis, you're number one. Fuck these guys.
He continues. I have a FINteresting conversation of my own to suggest. Mr. Glum started off as Angel's imaginary friend or buddy, then became a world-dominating megalomaniac. Solar Man just appeared after a few flashback pages, and the God Gun was destroyed and became a slaughtering...
Yes?
Hold on. Then the God Gun was destroyed and became... And then the God Gun was destroyed and became a slaughtering Superman to villains. One of my favorite villains next to Overlord. Hell, even the lead of this series, Dragon, became a big-time villain. A monstrous marauder bent on taking over our world for his people by defeating threats with just his finger, purging his blood from Dragon. What the? Purging his blood from Dragon wannabes.
Yeah, he was going around killing all the people with the blood, remember?
All the dragon wannabes.
Dragon Wars.
Wannabes. Okay. Let me start over. A monstrous marauder bent on taking over our world for his people by defeating threats with just his finger, purging his blood from dragon wannabes, and being a genocidal genius. My question is this. Make a new, huge, villainous threat for Malcolm to battle. It can be a character that already exists in Dragon, an original idea, or someone who possibly exists elsewhere. I've always wanted a Savage Dragon versus Conquest brawl back in the day.
Yeah.
But that's not my answer. I'll tell you mine after I watch the Savage Dragon cartoon.
After you watch
the Savage Dragon cartoon.
Ooh.
He follows, please keep the episodes coming. Can you guys bring back the retro review segments? And next time there is a late issue or slow month, please review the Savage Dragon cartoon. It's not good, but I watched it and I enjoy it. I'd like to hear your opinions, and if possible, maybe Erik can talk about it. I doubt it. I'm guessing it isn't what he wanted, but some people did like it. Finally, can you guys end each episode by saying something like, well, guys, this episode is finished. Just a suggestion. Thanks again, Travis.
Why have we never done that?
I'm ashamed of us, really. It's so obvious in retrospect.
If this was video, we'd end it with Finn. At the
Finn.
End. Well, thank you, Travis. Thank you for writing in. I know we cut out a lot of what you had a bunch of responses to past FINteresting Conversations, but
which are great. I read it.
Yeah,
and it was fun to read.
Oh yeah, we all read it and loved it. Well,
your question, your FINteresting Conversation question, is a good one, and since nobody answered our previous one, so clearly 2017 of Savage Dragon was not exciting for anyone.
Tisk tisk,
hint.
listeners.
It's time to move on to a new one. So this is a good one. Now, when I first read this question, I thought that it was specifically about something minor in Savage Dragon's history that could become a big deal. Mm-hmm. Do you guys want to stick to that, or do you guys want to...
That's how it read to me.
Yeah.
What is it? To me, it's make a new huge villainous threat Malcom can battle. It can be a character that already exists, an original idea, or someone who possibly existed elsewhere.
That last bit's what I thought the whole question was about. But apparently it is. You can make up whatever you want as well. But I'm gonna tweak this. I'm gonna make an executive decision.
Uh-oh.
We have to come up with a brand new threat for Malcom out of something that has previously been, that has turned up in Savage Dragon at some point in the past.
Anything as long as it's from the book
or from the spin-offs, tied to Savage Dragon.
All right, I got something.
Oh, hit us, coming in hot.
All right, Craig, since you're eager, you can go.
All right. So we all know Super Patriot's kind of been reprogrammed in the past, right? By
at least a dozen times.
And we all know Malcolm's in Canada. We know Trump's been involved in the book. We know that Russia's been a thorn in the side for Trump. Mm-hmm. We know that there's a lot of talk about Russians hacking systems and stuff.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to make the Russians hack Super Patriot and all the robotic villains of Savage Dragon. So they're going to bring back the Seeker. They'll bring back Cyberface will come back in some new body because he exists somewhere in something. I don't know. But it'll all start with Super Patriot, who will wear like a Russian flag on his face. And
awesome.
Malcom will have to come back from Canada with the Canadian superhero team to bail out Trump and America from this Russian threat.
Nice.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
Pretty good.
And then we can see all these old robot guys from the past again in their glory. And how cool would it be, like Malcom versus a bunch of robot villains that are all like big name guys from the past?
Yeah.
Can you bring Dave back?
All the Project Born Again rejects.
I'm down with it. Yeah, that's good. That's a good. I like that you tied in Russia and Trump and all that. Like, it's very fitting. Hilariously, I was pitching the book to someone just today, and I mentioned the Trump thing, and they were blown away by the fact that Savage Dragon has real-world events in it. And I was like, yeah, baby. I was like, so that's good. I like that. I like that use of Russia.
I think it would be a good visual for a cover of Super Patriot with just like a Russian, even an old school Russian or something, which would be kind of silly, but
No, that's awesome. The idea of him having like another country's flag as his mask.
Or it could be even like North Korea or something like that.
Yeah.
Kim Jong-un in like a giant robot suit.
Perfect. Perfect.
Anyway.
No, it's good, dude.
All right,
Jim?
come on. What you guys got?
All right. So, Neutron Bob's mom drops the sweet old lady act for good and becomes the next leader of the vicious circle.
Nice.
Although she lives in Detroit. But anyway, through all of this, Neutron Bob, newly restored with his mom's radioactive blood, because remember, last time we saw him, he was depowered.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Is conflicted about, his role as semi-heroic, semi-reformed, and his mom's new villainous streak.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I got.
Sweet.
Hey, it's good. It's good. I like it. Evil
We
Neutron.
could get a backstory to his mom.
It's just. I remember when Neutron Bomb was depowered, she normally was like this sweet old woman, and then she got all dark about it.
Yeah.
Like he had failed her, and I always felt there was like a little bit more to her than meets the eye.
Maybe she's got some long backstory about being like a supervillain in the heyday.
Yeah.
Like
I think their origin is she was like near a nuclear testing site or something, and so she got blue, and then he was born blue.
we get to see her drawn all hot and young, like blue skin and white hair, like classic Larsen style. Because she wasn't always old. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, she was.
It feels that way, but
I just feel there's another story to tell. There is all.
What do you got, Perez?
oh man, I don't think I have a good one like you, bros. I think you did good. I think you did better than me. I want to see Melvin Belko.
Okay.
Yes.
He just keeps tampering with his body, right? But he's kooky, right? Like the whole time, just glum style. It's just like, oh, you goof, and he's just like the upgrades seem like dumber and dumber, but then he fucking just goes like a step too far, and decides to replace half his brain with a fucking new AI or some shit, and then the fucking AI half is takes over and rips the remaining human lobe out and smashes it, and he becomes some kind of fucking super Melvin Belko evil robot, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like some kind of creation.
Some kind of neighbor Craig monstrosity.
Yeah, just he just keeps pushing those experiments. Kind of I like the idea of a goofy character that becomes a serious threat.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
that happens a lot in Dragon.
Yeah,
Glum, Redbeard.
It's good. It's good. It catches you off.
I feel
guard.
like Redbeard did the opposite. He started out as a serious threat and then became a joke.
No. He was a goof on John Byrne.
Mm-hmm.
I know that, but I mean, at least he had physical proportions and seemed like he was somewhat effective during the gang war.
Then he became MODOK.
Then he became a giant head.
Yeah.
And got killed by a falling building.
I mean, he looked cooler. Remember when he was a weird Olympus looking dude?
Right.
So at least the MODOK guy became cool. But that's my idea. Just it's not as.
We
good
need to
as...
see Belko as a villain more.
We haven't seen him in
so much
year.
potential.
Because you think here's all I'm saying is as far as he goes, he's super fucking rich. So he's got a lot of resources. Yeah, he's got a lot of fucking people under him. He's got access.
Matter.
He's got access to freak out. Fucking.
Doesn't he have
crazy.
a flying head now?
Yes. He is a flying head.
He's got a flying head and he's got a super buff body already. So I'm telling you,
strange.
All it's gonna take is just fucking replacing a new head onto that fucking body, and you've got a Bonfo fucking kick-ass super villain.
Boffo.
I'm keeping it in the mix.
Nice. Good one.
So.
I like that.
Thanks. I didn't feel it was as good as fucking Super Patriot Hack.
Belko's a little new, and his story isn't done. I'm sure we'll see.
But I like that we need to see more Belko.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Retardedly, my other idea was that PJ, you know how he's like young? For some dumb reason, I was like, PJ should become an evil fetus, and he wants to but it is like, wait a minute.
He's not reverse aging Raven.
Exactly. That's why
Benjamin Button.
Yeah. For some reason in my mind, I was like, PJ continues to get younger, and then I was like, wait a minute, that's not what's happening with PJ, damn it. So I wanted there to be an evil fetus in the book, I guess.
I forgot that Melvin Belko turned into like a giant fucking Hulk dude.
Yeah, with a flying head.
Yeah, we definitely need to see more of him.
He's awesome. He's awesome as shit. And like I said, if you think about it, just like he's the only guy in the book right now that could easily tear down like overlord levels of influence. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. He's an inventor. He has freak out.
Rich. So yeah, fucking awesome. I think he'd be a kick-ass villain.
So yeah,
and that was it.
And so yeah, if you guys have any similar ideas to what nugget, what small piece of like Savage Dragon lore could become a major threat for our hero in the future, what would you like to see? You can send your responses to SavageFINcast@gmail.com. And
I guess we should also fish for other FINteresting conversations, too.
Always looking for more FINteresting conversation topics.
Yeah, so if unrelated to that, you have a similar thing that you would like us to discuss and then pose to the entire audience, like that would be awesome, too. That's the whole point of this, is to get you listeners in on the mix.
And so with that, we segue into our interview with Erik Larsen, where we talk about many things, but most importantly, Savage Dragon 231.
It's going to be a good one. I can't wait.
So we here on the Savage FINcast are joined once again by Erik Larsen, our favorite comic creator of all time.
All right.
Is it that obvious?
Wow. I had no
How you
idea.
doing, Erik?
I'm all right.
No pressure.
No pressure, yeah.
So it's been about a half a year since we last had you, about 6 issues worth, and I think a heck of a lot has happened in those 6 issues. And I know I say this kind of like every time you come on, but what happens in 6 issues of Savage Dragon is so much more than 6 issues of any other kind of superhero funny book out there. And I always like to kind of compare. So if you just humor me for a minute, I just want to go through real quick some of the stuff that has happened in this past 6 issues, and we can kind of laugh about, comparing what would happen in a Spider-Man comic in the same, time frame. But in Savage Dragon, you had your main character move to Canada. You've had a whole bunch of graphic sex. You've had Thunderhead and Maxine's mom hooking up. You have new kids coming from both Malcolm and Maxine and May and Kevin. You've had a Trump appearance. We've had a slew of new villains. We've had the return of Rapture. It's just, compare that to like what happens in 6 months of Spider-Man. I mean, that's stuff that happens in 6 years. So it's just amazing that, we go from 225 and a bunch of crap happens there to just going straight through 6 issues where it just, constant changes. So, and just, I don't know. It's amazing. So bravo. I mean, it blows our mind all the time. We talk.
All right. Wow, cool. Awesome.
Bang for your buck.
It is amazing, though. Like, you think about each one of those things would be like a 6-part kind of miniseries in Spider-Man or the X-Men or something like that. It just gets dragged out and just to have it all happen in
part of it is just the real-time aspect kind of forces a lot to happen really quickly.
Right.
Because if it didn't, it would just seem really weird that it's like, wow, nothing's going on. It's like, oh, Trump's doing something terrible and he's got to leave, but he's going to leave really slowly. He's going to take his time. We're going to spend 3 issues with him packing. That's not going to work. So we just have to kind of, I mean, just the nature of the beast is like, all right, if I'm going to do this, I need to get him up there pronto. And then I got to start dealing with the realities of being up there right out of the gate.
Like, what restaurants will they eat at?
Well, it's weird too, because in real life, when you move someplace new, you make friends and you meet other people in fairly rapid succession, especially if you're like
a celebrity.
You're a big celebrity. People recognize you wherever you go. It's super quick that you establish sort of a regular routine of, I go to this place and I get this thing that I like to eat there. And it's just, you settle into a comfortable rut pretty quickly when anything like that happens in real life. And it's tough to kind of deal with that in a comic book setting the way I've done it, because suddenly it's like, oh, so they just magically have 15 new friends that were never really introduced to us in any nice way.
Right.
So it's got its good and bad aspects to it, and some of it can seem like, boy, there's a lot happening really, really quickly. And that might not necessarily be a good thing all the time. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's like, oh, this is awesome. Look at all this stuff that's going on. Other times it's like, geez, man, could you just take a breath?
I think you work your backups pretty well that way to kind of fill in some of things that we might have missed. I mean, you don't do it all the time, but I think on some of the more important things, you're able to kind of utilize a backup in that way, and it's effective.
Yeah, well, I do what I can when I can. It doesn't always work out, and sometimes people don't get me things in a timely enough manner that I can really make that work.
Yeah.
The backup that you wrote for 226, The Awakening with Jennifer, I thought that was a pretty awesome backup, and I read it and I was like, wow, I saw Jennifer as kind of like a different character, and I almost took the meaning of The Awakening, almost had like a double meaning. I mean, she was coming out of her little whatever it was, tube, yeah. But she was also, it seemed like she was awakening as like a new character. Like at the end, you added that last panel where she was like, she's going through all this crap and she's like, and I'm loving it. And, and it was like, well, maybe she doesn't have Dragon as a crutch anymore. And she's kind of just being a badass in the Dimension X. And we've kind of seen that when they've gone back together with her crew now, that she's just really taken charge, and she's not kind of like the whimpering wife or something. Even though she was always strong, she always seemed like she needed Dragon,
Yeah, well, I kind of ended that. Unfortunately, the end of the other version, she didn't have any superpowers by the end of it, and she was just kind of in a bad way. And it was like, okay, so she's in a wheelchair. Things aren't really going her way at that point.
Yeah.
Whereas this Jennifer is coming out, she's she's 25 years old, so she is like way younger than we're kind of used to.
Right.
And it's like, oh man, look at all this that's going on here. So it's kind of a different world.
Yeah, you can take a new take on an old character, which makes it kind of cool.
Yeah, it's been definitely fun.
I will say this whole Dimension X arc that you've been doing with the characters has I really like it. It's got a real heavy metal vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of fun to play around with stuff. It's like I can do anything. Yeah, at a certain point, I had talked to Eric Stevenson about what does that mean? I've got this rating on my book. What does that mean? What can I do? What can't I do? And it's sort of like, well, it is an adult book, so conceivably you can do whatever the hell you want to in it. The only thing is, if I make people just fucking every month, then it would be like, oh, we need to put this in the X-rated comics section. So Actually Diamond was getting a little like, wait a minute, hey, hold on here. But
Also,
it was getting like pretty juicy there for a couple of issues, and like, is this going to be a regular thing? Because we may have to move you to another part of the catalog. Like, all right,
so even Diamond reached out to what, Image or yourself?
Something happened there. I don't know. They don't contact me. They contact somebody else, and somebody else contacts me. So that's how that works.
So did they make like a deal with you or something? Like you could do it once in a while, but if you continue to do
it, I just know going into it, like, all right, this can't be every issue, you know.
I know,
which it wasn't going to be anyway. It was just like, let me just kind of establish a little something here, just so you have an idea. It's kind of seemed like for years, like I was just kind of teasing the reader,
right?
And it was like, come on, at some point you got to give them something, for crying out loud. And it's just like, all right, let's just do it and see how this goes over. It was just me screwing around.
I know a few people were concerned because your mature label is like usually on the back with the barcode, so it's not like clearly obvious a lot of the times.
Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah, oh well.
Hey, retailer, you got to pay attention. I don't know.
Did this kick off a lot with like the alternate cover to 225? Like, you know, did you kind of like publish that and then just say, hey, you know, I should go a little further with this? Was that kind of the impetus? I know it was kind of in the back of your head, but did that kind of really jump it off?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, maybe that's something. There's probably something there somewhere. I don't. I just
remember like the threesome, you know, back, you know, how many years ago was that now? It's getting up there, and it was like, wow, this is like crazy. You know, like, I can't believe he's doing this. Yeah. And then it was like, it jumps into like 227 when you're just like, holy, was it 227 or 226? It was just like, holy shit. Did you have any hesitation with that, where you kind of bounced it off of people?
Yeah, definitely. I was like, uh-oh. Well, you know, and I penciled it, and for a while there, I was like, dare I ink this? And where am I inking this? Because that's not the sort of thing where I could just sit there and be at a coffee shop. Just, well, don't mind me.
Are you the reason Oscar shut down? Is that it?
That's it. Sorry.
How do you deal with that? Like even at home with family and stuff, do they care? Do they even?
They don't. They are completely oblivious.
Do they never like? You don't have Thanksgiving and Uncle Harry comes over and wants to look at your work.
They're so used to not looking at my comic and it's just this presence that it's always there, and it's always this thing that I'm working on that. I don't think my wife has cracked a cover of this thing in 25 years.
Wow. And you always say that. It just blows my mind that no one's just trying to check it. I wonder what this guy's been doing for 20 years. Let me crack one of these open and take a look.
I mean, every now and then I'll show her something just so that, just so that I get the sense of like, all right, I'm going to show her this one thing so that she won't feel tempted to ask about it anymore. You know? I mean, not that she even does. She doesn't really ask about it, but every now and then it'll be like, I'm working on something, and when I'm working on it in her presence, I'm not on that page. Right, I'm on something else. There are other pages in the book, but I don't really worry about it too much. The people around here are pretty oblivious to it.
Besides, you mentioned Stevenson. Is there like another artist or pro out there that you kind of talk to a lot about your ideas, or like one or two people out there?
Not really. Not a lot. I've got a couple of sort of regular people friends. Neighbor Craig is based on a real dude, and he and I would kind of I would bounce stuff by him sometimes, but not even a lot. Mostly it's just sort of talking to hear yourself talk. And then I go, and I used to share a studio years ago with inker Al Gordon.
Right. Yep.
And he still has a studio here in San Francisco, and so usually once a week I'll go and just hang out there.
Yeah.
And sometimes stuff comes up. He always says, "Hey, if you got anything you want to run by me, let me know." I never do. I mean, it's just very, very seldom.
How about Maxine gargling cum?
What do you think of that, Al?
And there's stuff that he hasn't seen and hasn't read. You know, if I don't throw it in his face, then it's not like he's out going to the comic store every week and is aware of what I'm up to particularly. So, I mean, if he comes over and sees what I'm working on in his office, then it's one thing. But even that, you know, I just kind of
what about
certain things you do certain places is basically it. Just because it's like, all right, this is not. I'm not going to be comfortable working on this in front of somebody else. So, whatever.
Right.
Whatever.
Clearly, I don't give a shit. It doesn't. Come on.
It's been great. I think we kind of talked on the FINcast. I don't know if it was this the 228, but I feel like the sex scenes are almost like a new genre of comic. It's like action sex. You draw like the sex scenes almost like they're having like a superhero fight in a way. There's like the sound effects, Maxine getting shot across the room.
What I didn't want was I didn't want to do sex that was sexy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do nudity that was sexy either. I wanted to do nudity that was really kind of matter of fact.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, you know, if you're watching actual real people having real sex, it's pretty ugly.
Yes.
You know? It's just like, okay, there's some mess here. There's some noise that Jesus, I don't want to hear that. And it's just not sexy when things are being filmed. You know, you've got the lighting and everything is just so, and it can look amazing. But if it's, you know, in the real world, real people doing it, it's like, oh man, yeah, it's just like a real fight. In the real life, you know, when you're watching two guys slug it out, and you just like, if I took screen caps of this and traced it off, it would be the dumbest, shittiest looking fight ever.
Absolutely.
So clumsy. Nobody's in a cool power pose. It's all like, it's just awkward and bad. And I kind of, I don't know. I didn't want to do. I just wanted to do something that seemed more real in a way. You know, where you just kind of felt you weren't like, oh, look at these beautiful people posing for me. Look how everything is just so.
Right.
Just, you know, for my entertainment or whatever. I just kind of wanted to do something where you're like, oh, okay. I get it. That's what goes on. All right, moving on.
It's exactly what you think a sex scene in Savage Dragon would look like, you know?
That's the best way to describe it. That is like you said, power poses, 100%.
Sound effects and all.
Just to jump ahead a little bit, in the latest issue, you've got the sex dolls, and you got the sex doll sex scene. That one seems a little bit more posed for quote unquote sexiness. Was that like intentional because it's?
Yeah, well, they're artificial beings, and that's kind of the gig,
right?
Yeah. I do like. I forget which issue it is. Maybe 229, where it just looks like it's the nega bomb going off. It's just waves of explosion.
Like that ring and you just escaping. Like, all right, but that issue was a kind of a challenge to do because that was one where I drew it really small. It was not normally drawn issue.
You were messing around with the format in a few of these. You had the one that was really small. Then you didn't. The issue after it, you were using multiple different sizes.
Yeah, same
Right.
same with the issue that's out now.
Okay.
That's out.
Oh, you kept doing that.
Yeah, I just did it for one more, and then the one I'm working on right now, that's all the same size again, and it's I've just been kind of flipping back and forth, trying different things out, because it's weird, because there's some things that turn out really good when they're drawn at a certain size, and then there's other things that really don't work very well drawn at a certain size. Like it's kind of started from, I did that issue with Maxine where she was pulling a finger out of her hair, or what was supposed to look like a finger out of her hair.
Mm-hmm.
And I had drawn it twice up because I'd been doing all these covers twice up, and it just looked awful. And so much so that I just bailed on it. I just wasn't able to make her head seem like it was shaped right, and every part of it just was crawling out to me, just going, okay, you need to stop this. And so I thought, well, why don't I'd gotten some original art from Corey Walker, who had done
Invincible.
Invincible, and there were more recent issues of Invincible. He had drawn them really small, and I thought, well, these are really cool. Let me see if I can do something like this. And it turns out I can't. Because there are pages in there where it's like, well, this doesn't look good at all. What do you know? But there are pages in there where I'm like, well, this page looks all right. This page looks pretty cool. And I was kind of sizing things up and changing things around anyway, so that when I was adding Starfields, which is done post,
Mm-hmm.
the Starfields still look the same size from one issue to the next.
Oh.
And then also the lettering was being done the same size, so it didn't, that part of it hopefully won't seem too jarring when it's in a trade, because you just go from this twice of stuff, which is gigantic and detailed, to this, which is much smaller. But I think because the Starfields are tiny and other parts of it, it should kind of work, but we'll see. I don't know. Like the Tim Hortons page, like, wow, that one just doesn't quite hold together. It looks a little chunky.
I think our observation was 229 was kind of noticeably different, but 230 and 231 are basically, you can't even tell.
I couldn't. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, because it's all over the place. There's in 231 there is one twice up page in the book. And
I bet I can guess which ones. Is it the big double page?
You can probably figure out which ones are the tiny ones. I think is there just two of those? I don't know. Most of them are done in this kind of middle size that I've been messing around with too. So
is it the head close-ups for
the
middle size?
The two head close-ups were both done small.
They came out great though. I like those.
They did.
The recent close-ups.
They work better because of that. If I was drawing in big, some of it is just maybe the way I hold a pencil or brush or whatever. But I have a tough time maintaining a good, clean, long line. And,
I think that, yeah, absolutely.
And that's a real problem when you're drawing something like somebody's round, bald head.
Right.
Right.
So I did what I could with it. If you haven't figured it out yet, the twice up page is Malcolm mixing it up with the ladies over the rooftops.
Yeah. Those always work the best with the cityscapes. I love that. I love when you do those and you do like the buildings kind of crashing down, like the issue where Malcolm's chasing kind of the kids through the danger zone, or back in the day when you had the building crashing on the college girls there. But those are amazing. How long does it take to do like one of those twice up pages like that with all the buildings? And are you talking a whole day or?
Yeah, that one in particular was kind of complicated because that one was something of an ordeal to get that one to work, because there's a lot of perspective stuff and all. So and it's like, well, yeah. What was I thinking? But it looked cool. So
yeah, I enjoy like the curve.
There was a bitch to scan because it was a twice up double page spread. So it was really impossible to make it work. I just kind of had to open the scanner up and move it around and just capture a couple shots that were just in the middle of it in order to try and sew the thing together in some kind of a reasonable way. But I just did the twice up double page spreads for a little while, and then I started doing the double page spreads started being a little smaller than twice up, just so that I could scan them more easily. I know up through 200 at least those were all twice up double page spreads, but shortly thereafter it got to be a little smaller.
It's got to be a bitch to store all your pages now with the different sizes.
Yeah, I can't do this random thing for long because this heap is just going to get really tippy.
I got to ask one question there. I forget which issue it was. I think maybe 228, maybe not. There, 228. Maxine wears this jacket with this like cog and nail logo or gear or whatever it is. What is that from?
It's from a podcast I listened to called Hello Internet.
Okay.
So they had tossed it out as something like, this is in the public domain, anybody can use it and put it wherever the hell they want to. So I was like, I'll just put it on her jacket here.
That's pretty awesome.
Call it beautiful. So
do they know that logo is in your comic?
Probably not, unless somebody tips them off to it. But
I'm sure
so somebody get on that.
Time for name withheld to reappear.
Whatever. It's all in good fun. I mean, some of this stuff has just been. Toronto has ended up being kind of a gold mine of just wacky shit.
Poop Cafe. How is that real?
Well, it's a themed restaurant, Craig. They're all over the place.
Yeah, but it's a theme about like drinking coffee out of a shitter.
It's
like,
ironic.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah, no, it's a real place. There's a bunch of this stuff that is just like, I can't believe this is real.
Yeah,
it's kind of awesome that there'll be this like real something, and it's just weird. And I'm kind of focusing on all this stuff that's different from US, just because. Right. I mean, what would be the point of him, walking into a Burger King or a McDonald's or something? It's like, that could be home.
Right. I enjoy kind of how heavy-handed you are going at it in certain ways. Like Malcolm will go from like a hockey jersey to like a Rush T-shirt, like to drinking Canadian beer to like.
Yeah, and a lot of this stuff is just me seeing stuff that's like, oh, that's a cool shirt.
Yeah.
Like her Maxine in the new issue wearing that T-shirt that says a BJ is better than a Yang.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's a real shirt.
Oh, God.
Like, all right, that's cool. Let's put that to use.
Did you get much of a reaction? I saw a few letters in the letter column, but with the Trump issue, did you see like a huge sales kick on that, where people wanted to?
Sales did definitely take they bumped up quite a bit for that one, but so crazily that we were like, oh, we need to do a second and third printing or anything like that.
It could, and Marvel
We
didn't
overprinted on it, but it wasn't like it wasn't Obama.
It wasn't like Obama.
I was
in the back
waiting.
of my mind.
It went up, but it didn't go. It didn't set any land speed records.
I was waiting for like the Spider-Man Trump variant shortly after yours was announced.
Yeah, they were kind of following my lead for a while there, but
But you had that one guy that kept going back and forth in the letters column, like he did not.
yeah, that was actually an email exchange that we had. That I just thought, oh, I gave him really long answers, and there was like 5 of these letters or something. I'm just going to put one in every issue until I run out of them. And I remember there being that sort of thing in old comics when there was a Hulk story a long time ago where Betty fell out of the sky, but she had just gone from being the harpy, who was this big bird-like creature, to being like a regular person. And then at the end of the issue, she and Bruce Banner were falling from, way up in the sky. And then the next issue, suddenly she's got some cloth that had miraculously found its way around. and there ended up being this debate in the letters page about nudity. And it was kind of cool because it would be in directly in response to that, and then 3 months later there would be the readers responding to the readers responding to the nudity thing, and then 3 months after that would be the follow up on that. And it was like, oh, this is kind of cool. It's almost like there's this serial going on in the letters page at the same time that there's a comic book that's got this sequential stuff going on. So just as a reader, I thought, well, this could be like my version of that. Just kind of this back and forth with this guy about whatever, Donald Trump.
Sex saga.
Basically there was one guy who contacted the Image offices and was like, I'm not going to buy any of your books, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, my God.
And then there was this guy writing in a letter. I think there was one or two others. I pretty much printed everything that there was that was negative. So,
That's crazy.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Is it me, or I feel like there's been kind of like a resurgence in the letters pages where I feel like there's a lot more letters coming in month to month?
Yeah, there has been before. Recently. There's been somewhat more of that, which is good because it can, when it's not happening, it can be deafening. It's like, oh, what am I going to do here? I don't want to resort to like, I'm making up letters, because I always thought that's not cool.
Right. But you've made the point, and I agree. Like the letters page is kind of like a timestamp where you can go back and see what the readers were thinking or what was going on, the things that.
Yeah, I really like that aspect of that, and I think that's something that's really missing from a lot of comics, and I mean it's due to a couple things. Part of it is just that everybody's so accessible online that there's no reason for that. I can talk to the guy who wrote that book today and tell him what I give it today and get an answer right now. Why would I write a letter to the comic and have some assistant editor answer my question?
I still feel like it's still getting a letter published in a book makes you kind of part of that book. You know what I mean? Like
I really think so too. I think it's like, oh man, look at me. I remember I sent in letters when I was a kid and I got a letter printed. I remember that. I was like, oh man, who's this idiot? Oh, hell, it's me.
It is enjoyable. And the cool thing too, even looking in the old 60s comics, is going back and seeing how many, or even Savage Dragon, seeing how many people that wrote that in the early days made it to pro, and there's quite a few that did, and it's fun. So I'm glad it's still here, and I'm glad that it's seems to have an awakening almost in a way. It seems to be like more people are writing in.
Yeah, I'm all right with that.
The funny thing was, because I was like going back and collecting out of sequence, is that like I would go back and read the letters columns just to see like what people were thinking and stuff, and it kind of works out that the letters column just happens to also kind of like just bullshit about stuff that was happening like around that issue too.
It's like a time capsule.
Yeah, so it's like it built in catches you up on shit that maybe you didn't necessarily, get in the whole issue. So yeah. Like a built-in wiki.
It fills you in stupid shit like 25 different no-name characters' names. I love it. It's still... What's this guy's name? And what's this guy's name? All right, we'll never see him again, but here's his name.
Any letter with a list. If I see a numbered list, I'll just jump right to the list.
Those are the first letters I go to. Anyone with a question, you got to go to those first.
Gotta read those.
Speaking of letters, I know there was kind of a strong reaction to the Seeker issue in terms of like him not really having the backstory that most people had kind of built up
in their brains. It's like I never said anything. It's like,
come on, man! You can't do that to us.
The secrets of the Seeker revealed.
Yeah, God, I was so deflated at that.
I'm just sitting there going, "What the hell am I gonna do? There's no secrets. There was nothing here. And do I really want it to be like frickin' Boba Fett, where you're just sitting there going, "Oh, that's what he's about"? Now I hate him.
We were so butthurt after reading that issue, though. We were so ready for it to be some guy that we hadn't seen in 10 years.
No, I just wanted anything.
I was ready to do that. I was like, let me do this. And I was talking to Gavin about it, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't know who it could be." I mean, the only thing I was like, well, I guess we could just finally do something with John Day. He keeps showing up in every comic. Just have it be that John Day's been this villain all along, and he's just hanging out, and it just seemed kind of dumb. Like, what? Then we're gonna not be able to use John Day ever again? That's not cool.
I just wanted something like a motivation, I guess, because he's such a blank slate.
Basically, I thought of him as, at the time, that he was just somebody that Cyberface had just sent him out after Dragon, and it really was like he's this bounty hunter kind of dude,
right?
And then he just kind of lost the thread of, shit, you mean that guy's dead now, and now that happened, and so none of this is anything. What do I do here? Yeah, I don't know. Who am I supposed to kill? Just help point in the right direction. But at this point, it's like, look, Dragon's not even around anymore, and you're still getting pissed off at who? I mean, it's time to move on, man.
We got some closure. He's done.
Yeah, he was a
nobody.
nobody.
Nagging you about it anymore.
Unless that was all hydraulic fluid.
That's it. It'll be.
It's comics. He can come back.
Anything. Everybody can come back. There's a way.
I will say I'm sort of interested in whatever like this Canadian organization Malcolm's like working for in this Seeker issue. Like, who drags him out there to fight him? Is there anything more to that?
I just figure he just owes the government some kind of stuff. Because they're kind of helping him out and inviting him into their country. So I guess he's, for lack of, he's kind of like where Dragon was, kind of, but not really. I don't know. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Let me just say I haven't thought this through. Sorry. I know that every time we have this conversation, it's like, wow, this guy's an idiot. He doesn't know what he's doing at all.
That's part of the magic.
He really seems like he knows what he's up to. And it's like, no, not so much. that I thought of it as just like, when the police need somebody to help them out because there's some major shit that's going down, he's a guy that they can turn to. And Malcolm just feels like I owe them this, whether or not it's, he's their new Weapon X.
Right.
Maybe it'll build towards that sort of thing where I can make it into something. I want to at some point get to some, actual Canadian heroes and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
That would be excellent to see.
Excited for it.
But at the same time, when I think of American heroes, they're not all Captain America.
True.
Right.
Well, they don't need to be Canadian themed. They just need to live there.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, I'm sitting there going, well, is there any reason that Carl Cosmic couldn't just be Canadian? He could just be a fucking dimwit up there just as well as, It doesn't have to be this involved thing, But, I just think of it like if a guy up in Canada got bitten by a radioactive spider, it's not like he's going to go, well, I don't want to be called Spider-Man. I got to do something that's provincial.
Spider Canuck.
Spider A.
Spider Canuck.
It's just like...
When you revealed the cover to 231, I kind of thought, before you said they were sex dolls and androids, I kind of thought she was going to be like a hero type character from Canada.
Same. We even did a vote, and everybody voted hero. Actually,
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
so you fooled them. You fooled them good.
Well, I guess there's always time. I
The
can
hero's
just...
always got to look good looking. That's why.
Yeah,
That's yeah.
looking good.
That's why Thunderhead rules.
Oh yeah.
Did you ever did you ever envision Thunderhead playing such a big role? Because he's kind of really, I think the fans are kind of fallen in love with him, and he's a great character.
Oh yeah.
Just a stud.
It's really weird how some characters just kind of take on a life of their own without you really sitting there going, okay, this is the one.
Right.
Like Maxine was definitely one of those where she was not, certainly going into her as a character when I started out, it wasn't like, well, she is amazing. And then after I had written just some of her dialogue where she was just, belly aching about the weirdness of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang or Garfield, dealing with Mondays. It's like, you're a fucking cat, for crying out loud. It's not like you're going to work. You're not packing a lunchbox. What the hell's wrong with you? That sort of, she became something in my brain. I was like, oh, she can be this kind of person who goes off on crazy tangents and is much more kind of livelier than a lot of the other characters in that way. And it's like, okay, she's more fun to write. And certain other characters were essentially toss away characters that I was like, oh, I like that guy.
Yeah.
I like that, that thing. And sometimes there'll be minor characters that were just, I'm drawing a group of villains. There got to be somebody in there, and then one of them will be like, "Oh, I like the way the guy looks. I'm gonna do more with him," and then they become something later on.
Right. I even find that the Dragon kids are kind of developing their own personalities. Is it me, or is it like Tyrone seems like the most developed, whereas like Amy's kind of a little further behind, where she's not like forming words like.
Yeah,
it seems like you made one really smart and one
right up with everybody else. But she is also born later than the rest of them too.
Yeah.
She actually was out of the womb in September, and that's the birth date that they always go, okay, we're going to celebrate everybody's birthday in September. But I mean, Angel had gotten an abortion like really early, just after the beginning of the year, and then Tyrone went crawling out of his mom, a couple months earlier. So they got a little bit of a start on her.
That makes sense. I hadn't thought about that.
It's interesting that you've done that, like that you've gone out of your way to do that. It's pretty cool. And you know, it hasn't gone unnoticed. It's pretty fun.
It's been kind of cool, and just finding like, okay, she pronounces things this way, and then the other ones pronounce it another way. The problem is that kids grow up so quick,
right?
That it's like, you know, if she's calling Malcolm Baba, how long is she going to do that?
Right.
You know, I mean, realistically, is she going to be calling him that when she's 3? Probably not. Probably goes into something else, but you never know. I mean, my oldest son called me Pop for a number of years, and sometimes he still will roll that one out.
It's a good one.
You never know. You know, kids definitely you can't. There's no controlling them. They just come out the way they come out, and you just deal with it.
Right.
Fourth baby. That's what was blowing our minds. Like, we can't make sense of it story-wise. We're like, what the hell? Fourth baby? What?
You know, well, yeah, I don't want to talk about it.
No, you don't have to. No, that's fine. No, just our reaction to it.
I don't want to spoil anything. But
No, that's perfect.
The problem with talking to you guys is that, like, there's always stuff that I'm going, oh, I know where I'm going with that. And then it's like, oh, shit, but I don't want to say anything because then,
your secret is safe with us and our 10 listeners.
Until Wednesday.
Where it's like, I had basically visuals for a couple characters and I'm kind of going, oh, I want to go this direction. Oh, but I want to go this direction. I can't do both. Wait a minute. What if I have to be another kid? Then I can do both. That sort of thing. And it's like, all right. But then, you know, just being able to have them have another sibling who's not as developed as their, you know, sort of a little one running around while the others are older and you know, they're going through other stuff, and it's like, oh, you're just a baby, and it's like,
yeah,
you know. And anybody who's been a younger sibling can kind of relate to that, just going, oh, damn it. Yeah, you can reach the shelf and I can't.
Yeah.
You know the answer to that.
Even if you can super leap and have perfect aim.
Yeah.
My 7-year-old beats the shit out of my 4-year-old all the time. It's great.
Yeah, my family were super close in terms of our age. My brother's not even a year older than me. So
same with my sister.
We didn't really have a lot of that, like, oh, you're just a baby, because it was like, come on, man. We're going to be the same age for 2 weeks, so I can catch up at some point here.
It's funny too, and when you look at it, they're only like 3 or 4 years apart sometimes, and you know, mine's always like, why does he talk so funny? Why does he do this? I was like, you were doing that 3 years ago. You know, it's to them, it's like it could have been like a decade. You know, to us, you know, we realize the time is so short.
Yeah.
But,
my niece and nephew, my niece is the older one. She has a tendency to like talk for the younger one, so he doesn't talk as well as she did at the same age.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
Well, generally, first kids talk way better just because they're around adults all the time.
Right.
You know? Although, you know, in this particular case, they're surrounded by morons like themselves. So it's like, there's 3 of us. None of us can talk very well. So if I'm learning a new word, I may be learning it from this knucklehead, and he can't pronounce it anyway. So what good is that?
With issue 230, you had to take the swastikas off the cover, right? What's the story like? Is that so it could sell overseas or something?
It was just a Germany thing.
And they have like a law against it?
Yeah, they have rules up there about having swastikas and on stuff. And I was like, you know, I don't know how true it is. I don't know what the deal is. I wasn't forced to do it. I just was like, let me just do this to see if it makes any difference. And I haven't really heard from anybody one way or the other. Like, oh, great, thanks for that, man. I haven't heard that at all.
They only call when they're pissed.
Yeah, just did it just to see if anybody would react, and they didn't. So okay.
It's got to be a thing though, because I even saw like Stefan or somebody was like a regular at the Facebook forums, like being like, "Oh man, another book I can't buy," and I was like, "Oh wow, that sucks."
And for the listener, Stefan's from Germany, right?
Yeah. I think so. I think that was the guy, and I think that at this point he should be able to get it, hopefully, and he should be fine.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I haven't heard from him one way or the other to know if he actually was able to get the book.
Because our swastika's in the issue, just not on the cover anymore.
Yeah, it's. I guess you can. I don't know. I heard from other people in Germany going, "Oh, I haven't any problem with anything." So it's like, well, wait a minute.
I think it's a combination of comics aren't a big deal, so they aren't scrutinized as badly.
Yeah.
Because video games, I can tell you that they got to strip that shit out 100%. Like, you can't have any.
Wow.
Yeah, it's weird. There was a new one.
Won't get past the ratings board.
Yeah, there was a new one set in Germany where they were fighting Nazis, and so it would have been like, it was filled with them, and they were like, nah, we got to take it out, like, completely. Wow. So, yeah, so it's weird. It's
I can't imagine why they're so sensitive about it.
It's got to be some history there. I don't know.
If only we could find out what it is. But I guess we're in the dark forever. Oh, well, shrug.
We certainly can't Google it.
So we got Rapture back now.
Oh, yeah.
A Rapture.
A Rapture. Yeah.
That's pretty badass. She's a great character. She's, it's always the bitch is back or whatever, like.
I like drawing her.
She just always.
And it's just. I feel kind of crappy when I do it, just because it's like, it's another character that's essentially back from the dead.
Right. You mentioned elsewhere she should have all memories from all her variations, right?
Yeah, but I kind of look at that very, very much like you just had a bunch of really vivid dreams and you remember a bunch of stuff and you're going, whoa, what is all that?
Oh, so her primary memories are her Dimension X.
Kind of just overwhelming. It doesn't overwrite what you've got going on. Otherwise, Dragon would have immediately been like, all right, I guess I'm
Paul now.
I guess I'm Kerr now, so I'm just taking over the world.
That's right.
I'm Paul Kerr.
I've got my powers. Fuck you guys. So you kind of play a little fast and loose with it, but what I wanted was for people to have access to certain information, so I didn't have to have characters that we had seen, had met each other and know each other and had some kind of a relationship to not have them be back to square one again and have to play all that same things over and over again. Just thought, okay, let's skip this part of it and just have there be something that'll fill things in. It really came about from just my reading of DC's New 52 and just going, well, how would I do it so people didn't feel like they were totally burned by having their whole world turned on its edge? It's like, well, I'd do it like this, where they at least remembered what went on, so that you didn't feel as a reader that continuity was pointless. Right. It's like, what was that? I've been reading this stuff now for 20 years and they don't remember a goddamn thing. Well, that's no good.
Yeah, exactly.
And that way it kind of makes them like in the exact same situation as the reader, where the reader has all those memories of all those iterations.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing too is that, she's going to have her different experiences on top of whatever memories are coming, rushing in there. Right. It's not like all the other stuff that she had in there went away. Right. And maybe if there were more Raptures around, every one of them would just be going, hey, we're all assholes. I don't know.
seems to be what she gravitates towards for sure.
I get the impression she's been in Dimension X for a while here.
She's been in Dimension X long enough to have a child who grows up to be the guy who shows up on the last page.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, when you dropped the cover for 234, and we knew what the last page of this issue was, I just wanted to tell everybody, second most misleading cover ever.
It takes willpower.
It does.
What? He shaved off his goatee. Amazing.
Smooth trick, definitely.
I gotta ask if all the shaving based stuff covers was to set this up.
Well, you'll just have to wait and see.
Okay.
He's messing with us.
Love it.
No,
Love
there's God, I can't go there. God damn it.
Fair
Don't
enough.
spoil it. It's cool.
No, we like being in the dark.
But just like any other character, they've experienced other stuff. So it's not like, hey, it's all the same. It's
Right.
like, oh, it's the same but different and this, that, and the other thing. But I mean, as misleading as that cover may have seemed, Malcolm is going to shave.
Okay.
Because basically,
Because I was going to drop the book.
So they're a big spoiler there. But the thing with that is, they're making the TV show and whatever, and at some point somebody goes, with that beard, you look like you're in your 30s, and your wife looks like she's 14. It just seems kind of messed up.
I only have one real question. How is it Malcolm's the only person in Dimension X to find clothing? Someday we'll find out.
Well,
That's your only one real question.
There'll be stuff there. It's not. It's not that as weird as it may seem.
I gotta say, in the past maybe a year or so, it does seem like you're having a lot of fun drawing alien dicks. I think some of these podcasts were like, did you see any dick in this panel? Yep, there's one. Whoa, I missed that one.
It's hilarious, the giant dicks that Craig will miss. I'll be like, Craig, look at it. It's like huge right there.
They look like Ben Grimm fingers most of the time.
Got a head on it. Got a biting mouth right there.
The foreshortening on that junk there.
We say pantsless Tuscan Raiders, like.
So we get Dart back in the newest issue.
Yeah.
Surprised to see her.
I was not expecting to see her, but I was also not expecting to see her as Mako Dart. I thought that was gone with the freak out. And then was this the first time that we saw it? She had a kid with Barry? I know that they had sex, but I don't know if we've.
Yeah, this is the first time. So were not privy to her being pregnant, and we were not privy to her having given birth because we haven't seen her in a while.
Right.
We haven't touched on a lot of some of the Chicago characters in a bit. So it was like, oh, here's my opportunity to kind of drop in and catch readers up a little bit on what's going on with her, and then where that goes. Well, we'll just have to see.
I love that fact that she still has like the Mako power because I was so bummed when she lost it.
Yes.
She kind of it's a good way for her to be able to kind of get out of shitty situations, to be able to have that. And also, since that's the place where the blood is that can keep her forever young.
Right.
Yeah.
She's like, well, I can be forever young and turn into this monster, or I can turn into a withered old lady in a jail cell. It's like, all right, that's not a tough choice to make.
I think it makes her interesting because of her hang-ups with Mako. So now she's stuck with his powers. So
Yeah.
she's got to see him every time she sees herself.
forever.
Well, that's not the only place she's going to be seeing him.
Oh. Ominous.
She did have a kid.
Oh, that's true.
Oh,
And she had the kid while she was a shark woman.
So she had him when she had the blood. So we're going to get a little sort of Mako dragon combo.
Dude.
So
holy shit, mind blown.
Raven's so excited.
When his teeth appear, you'll be like, oh, well, what do you know? But if you look at him here, his eyes are kind of
he bit her finger.
Wider set than a normal kid would be, and he's got kind of more of just a 2-dot nose rather than like a full real nose.
I see. That's awesome.
I totally missed that.
So,
the bit where the woman gets her finger bit now.
That in the nose.
Yeah, the nose.
Awesome.
That kicks ass.
There we go. So, and if you notice, I mean, he looks pretty gray compared to the way some of the other dragon.
For some reason, I thought Barry was that color though, but
Barry's more of a weird kind of a blue-green kind of thing that he had going on. But whatever.
Yeah.
Pretty soon we're gonna need a spin-off book like Power Pack where it's just a bunch of like 5-year-olds fighting.
It's just kicking the shit out of each other.
God damn, I'm excited about that. That's great.
Sorry, it's spoilers. God damn it.
No, here's what's great is if we were observant, we would have fucking noticed anyway.
I'm sure we would have talked ourselves into it at some point.
There's so much stuff I can do in the book where I'm just like, I can plant this little seed there, and then I can go someplace with this later on, and I can do this. And it's like, God damn it, this is fun. It just takes so goddamn long to get to everything because there's so much of it.
Do you find with so much backstory and so many characters that it gets easier to write the book, or is it more difficult to write the book because you've done so much?
I would say it's probably easier, but it's kind of overwhelming in a way because you end up going, well, geez, I'd like to use that character, but what do they look like now, and what has gone on in their lives in the intervening big hunk of time? And it can just get like, how much of a hassle is it going to be to catch readers up on their lives, and is that even an interesting story to tell? You know, where I'm going with this, because some characters, suddenly it's like, oh, we're catching back up on Cutthroat, and bam, he's fat and she's fat, and there's, they've got a little kid, and this stuff goes on that we're not privy to, and there could be endless amounts of that. And some characters are like, I really like them as this thing, and how many characters can you freeze in amber like that before readers are going, wait a minute, okay, maybe time traveling Kid Avenger can stay a kid forever. Maybe Killcat can have his special 9 lives cat thing for a while, but we can't just do that with everybody.
Right.
And it got to a point where I'm like, I can't have She-Dragon be what she was. She's aging out of that role. She can't just be this ditzy little kid forever.
Right.
It's like, oh shit. I got to go somewhere with this. So
I think for the readers, it's good and bad. I love it overall
because a lot of the times where you end up is I got to see this character in their best iconic form a couple of times, and then they weren't that anymore.
I remember with that one character, War God, I was like, I want to know this guy's deal. He kind of looks like Adam Warlock. He was always kind of in the background of like the gang war books. He always looked so badass, and he never really did anything. And I was like, man, what a waste. And then when kind of Thunderhead's like flashback scenes, he kind of appeared and he said like a few words. He's kind of like Thunderhead's kind of mentor in a way. I think, right? Or was he his friend? I don't know.
He was his friend's dad because his dad was in the joint, so he hung out at his friend's house all the time.
I wanted. Yeah. I was just like, I just wanted to know more about the character, and it's like you can't get to him all.
It's hard. There ends up being too much stuff all the time, and now I've got the book set someplace else. How random is it going to be if I just have there be this string of characters that are making it north to the border?
Right.
Well, Trump wants them all out.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could just be like, well, all these guys are going to get kicked out, so
they're running away
or something. So maybe they're all just going up there. I could.
I just remember like the gang war, like kind of 3-issue kind of arc where it was like you introduced like 50 to 100 different characters. And even like some of them ended up on the back of trading cards, but it was like all you ever saw was like a little thumbnail of these guys, and it was like, man, I need to know more about this guy. Again, you just can't get to him. But
well, some of them suck too, and it was
absolutely. But I still needed to see a page of them.
Or do I really need to do more with Soundstorm? Can we just? Okay? And Gavin was making his shopping list of, okay, these are the characters who are still alive, and it's like, man, some of those guys I don't even want to draw again. They suck.
That's when you just had them all like killed, like
Solar Man killed.
Solar Man just destroys them all.
It's like, all right, we're cleaning house for you, Gavin.
Oh man. So you have a new letterer too with this new issue, who's not really that new because he's done backups for you. Delgado, who is amazing. I love his stuff.
Yeah.
He's very versatile. He can do a lot of different kind of styles. But I really kind of wanted that old comic book. I wanted it to look and feel like a comic book. It's weird. I just got the image box today, which has everything that came out from Image Comics in a month. So it's like here is a big chunk of comics, and Savage Dragon is like the only one that really looks like a comic book to me.
Oh
yeah. It's like it looks so different from everything else around it. And even when I'm, looking at Marvel and DC comics, they've all got these painted covers, and a lot of them aren't really doing comic book like logos anymore, or much of anything on them. Right. And it's like, God, this looks so different to have a comic that looks like a comic book.
So many posed covers now, and just like pinup covers, like nothing to do with the inside of the book. It drives me crazy.
And not so much the big image books. Usually those are pretty consistent with the contents.
Yeah. It's a different all that. I mean, it's really interesting to see how this whole field has developed over the last 25 years. Because 25 years ago, the big beef was that all anybody does is superhero comics. And now we've got Image is doing almost anything but superhero comics.
I count about 3 these days.
Again, and
even the big guys are doing superhero comics, but they're not really like a lot of them aren't really like superhero comics. I don't know if you read like was it the Mr. Miracle, the new one? It's like this isn't superheroes fighting or anything like that. It's like way too, I don't know. Like it just, the only guy that I feel like that gets away with superhero stuff these days is what's his name? Madman.
Alred.
Alred.
Alred. Like when he does a Silver Surfer or a Bug comic, it's fun and it's superhero-y, but I don't really see that much of it. I mean, I'm looking at him on the stands and I'm like, this, I don't know, it just doesn't seem fun.
It says crossovers, baby. That's what it is. Watchmen.
I bought the Mr. Miracle ones. The artwork was gorgeous, but it was just like a commentary on like
Depression.
comics or something. I don't know. It just was not like it wasn't a superhero book.
Me and you, Craig, will get into that a bit later.
But how do you? I love it. But how do you take Mr. Miracle and make him into not a superhero book? Like, I don't know. Sorry.
He's a super skateboarder, right? I mean, isn't that?
Yeah.
That's part of that deal.
Yeah.
I haven't read it yet.
I just,
it's
whatever.
good, but it's different. Like,
it's
really
it's
different.
a beautiful book, but it's not a superhero book.
Yes.
Jim may feel different, but
I feel different, but like I said, that may not be pertinent to this conversation.
right. Any updates on? I know you teased us a little bit about maybe a Freak Force mini coming up or anything like that. Is that still kind of being talked about, or?
Not as much as I would like.
Yeah.
It kind of the reality is that the numbers just aren't there.
Yeah.
It's just not, and it's it's one thing for me to go, I'm going to do this and I'm going to take this risk and do this crazy thing on my own. It's quite another to involve other people,
right,
into jumping off the cliff. And the Mighty Man thing came out and it did something. It made money, but it didn't make a living money for somebody to do something. It's like, if you can do better doing something else, and you want to do that, that is totally fine. So I kind of was encouraging Nikos to kind of go, why don't you do something with somebody who can actually make this work for you rather than me. I mean, it's like here's the reality. You're not going to be able to feed your family with this one.
Sure. Yeah, and it's a lot of work to put into it.
It's a lot of work to put in it to go to at the end of the day go, oh man, I got whatever it was. I don't even know. I don't know what you got for it, but it's not a lot. It's like, oh, I got $1,500 for all that work. That's a lot of work, a lot of time, or whatever. I don't even know what number there was, but
it's just not enough for you guys to know that the FINcast totally appreciated it and loved it. That's not enough for you.
Yeah, fortunately. I mean, it's one, like they say, I'd be fine just going, let me just write this thing, and I don't need to see a dime for it. I don't give a shit.
Right.
But I can't put that on somebody else.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not fair.
Yeah.
Understandable. When I saw Stretch Armstrong, I was simultaneously happy and my heart sank. I was like, oh.
Yeah, well.
It looks cool. I was like, oh, Freak Force, oh.
Yeah,
It's okay. I'm not going to be greedy.
He's got some other irons in the fire, and he's going to be doing more comics, and it's like good. I want him to be able to do that, because I mean the first stuff I saw from him was stuff where he was drawing and coloring it.
Right.
I've known him as an artist who I kind of took him away from his love of drawing stuff to go do this book with me. But really, at one point he was doing stuff on his own, and he kind of wanted to be, writing stuff and drawing stuff and coloring it. And so it's like, all right, here, you have opportunities, take them, do something with it. Well, I don't want to hold the guy up.
How many years has he been coloring on Savage Dragon now? It's been, what issue did he start?
Been a minute.
I think 138.
Wow.
I don't
Very
know.
close to 100
It was like,
issues.
I feel like it was it the Godland issue? Was the Adam Archer issue?
Yeah, it was Adam Archer. Which was that?
I don't know. I'll look it up.
Gavin would know.
Gavin would know. Come on.
Don't you pay a guy for that?
So, I want to ask, where did this Aquaria comic come from? How did that get on your radar?
Just this friend who's doing stuff. He had done something for one of the next issue project books, and he had was looking for a home, for a place to put it, and I said, all right, I got a place if you wanna do it.
Cool.
And so that's how it came about. It's kind of an oddball just because it doesn't tie in with any of the regular Dragon stuff. But
Well, it reminds me of Frank Vasco's Itrian when that was running at the time.
Yeah.
'Cause that didn't tie into anything at the time.
yeah, it's like it doesn't all have to circle back. When the Desperate Times stuff didn't.
No.
Chris Giarrusso stuff occasionally did, but it wasn't like it was integral to the Dragon universe or anything.
Are we gonna see more Chris G strips? Because I don't think it was in the newest issue, but he's had a few in the past and they've been hilarious.
Yeah, there will be more when I've got room for more. It kind of fluctuates
When there's space.
month to month depending on the number of letters and the amount of stuff I've got, because there are other things that show up.
Sure.
But yeah, I love this stuff. I love this stuff. I'd love to see it every month if I could.
Just to interject with Nikos' first issue, it was 138 in September 2008. So we're almost on 10 years, which is amazing.
And 100 issues.
It's
Getting close to it. But there was a few Steve Oliff issues come along the way.
Yeah.
He didn't do 139. I know that.
Okay.
And so there was a little bit of he's here. He's doing. So, but it's added up. There's been a chunk of them.
And it's fun to watch how his colors have evolved in the comic over that time.
Oh yeah.
And I do remember 138 being blown away by the colors, being like, yeah, this guy's I just remember the shock and the change of the colors and loving it. 138 was a standout.
Yeah, I like that one. He kind of had developed a style I was not as fond of a while down the road. Everything had gotten kind of mushy. Yeah. And so at that point I was like, all right, we need to change this up a bit, and that's when we kind of found the new, more recent way he's been doing it, which I quite like.
Yeah, it's good.
I was a
more
bit
of the flats and stuff.
I was a bit critical of it for a while, if I recall.
I think there was a little bit of a learning curve.
Yeah.
When we did switch over, because I was like, all right, let's change this now, and he had already colored a couple pages, so there's like a couple pages down in the old way that needed to be kind of converted over, and those pages looked a little weird. But after a couple issues, it was like, all right, we found a new way of doing things.
I gotta say, with Savage Dragon, what's one of the things I really enjoy about it is that since I've collected it, it's the longest running comic I've collected, and there's so many issues that you kind of group things together, and certain issues by like artistic changes, whether it's the letterer, which before Dragon I never paid really much attention to letterers, and I really gained an appreciation on that, and you can see how it changes with each different letter. Same thing with the colors. I remember like even right before 138, Savage Dragon 137, I forget who did the colors on that. It was the one with the Amazing Joy Buzzards, and that just used a whole different palette, and you just gain an appreciation.
Really different.
Yeah.
Man, remember Amazing Joy Buzzards? That was like a lifetime ago now, it feels like.
Well,
yeah.
the artist for it? What's his name? He's doing the Tiny Titans. His style is really taking off.
Yeah, it's good.
It is great.
There's some good guys. So,
but that's what's it's fun to see all those changes over 25 years, and you really kind of can appreciate it. It's fun. It's a fun ride.
Well, cool. Well, it's been fun for me too. Let me just say.
As long as you're having fun, that's what really matters.
No,
it is. Keep drawing those alien dongs.
It's nothing but dongs. It's all dong issue.
Heroic dong. Hashtag heroic dong.
Do you have any? I know. Well, I might as well ask you this. But you're probably gonna roll your eyes. Do you know? Can you tell us where the Ant comic is in the process? Is that something maybe this year or?
I sure as hell hope so. I mean, kind of the idea would be that I would go to fewer conventions and get more comics done, because that's been something that's ate up a lot of time. Was just going to shows, and you start taking a week out of your schedule here and there. You can't do it.
Right.
Not and maintain some kind of a regular schedule. So the hope was to go, okay, well, let's get Dragon on a super regular thing and just pound it out, and then if you got time left at the end of the month, start getting some Ant under your belt.
Yeah.
That was the idea, and then this month I just screwed the pooch. It just didn't,
well,
didn't come together.
I feel like Dragon's been coming out like almost seems like sometimes like every 3 weeks. I'm like, whoa, is another one? It's been super.
I was trying to catch up by the end of the year because I had a Christmas issue.
Right.
And it was like, this Christmas issue isn't going to come out anywhere near Christmas, so what the heck am I going to do? And then I was running behind enough that I wasn't able to get a January cover solicited. So because of that, basically my January, what would have been my January issue, ended up being a February issue that would be out the first week in February. And so it was like, well, if I've got a little bit more time, which I did have, now would be the time when I could move to having Farron letter it. So that kind of having that extra week made it so that I could switch over and with the lettering. Because Chris has I've been driving that poor guy up the wall. Really, yeah, because I'll just drop a whole issue in his lap and be like, I need this thing in 3 hours. And it's like, oh, man. And he's pretty much stopped lettering every other comic. And it was just down to Savage Dragon, and he's been doing all the children's book stuff.
Right.
And it's like, man, oh man, I'm holding this poor guy hostage. He's been a super good guy about it.
Yeah.
But it's like I can't continue to be this guy who just wrecks this other guy's life.
Well, you were his last holdout in the hand lettering too, right?
Yeah. That got to that point where it's like, I can't do this anymore. What are you doing to me? But oh well.
So do you have like complete issues of Ant done, or are you still?
I've got pages that are pencil, so there's stuff that is kind of plotted out and being worked on, but there's not enough that I can go, yeah, this is a whole issue.
Right.
When initially Mario was going to do his issue 12 years and years and years ago.
Right.
He had kind of had started drawing an issue, got 6 pages into it, got all sorts of Marvel stuff, and was off doing other things. And I'd sort of been can we just wrap this story up? Can we just do something? And so I ended up doing layouts for the rest of that issue that he had started, and just like, here, this will do it. This will get the story done. It'll wrap it up in a nice place. And so I had actually done these thumbnails for him. And then he didn't do it. And then more time passed. And eventually he had lost the files for the 6 pages that he had.
Jeez.
And then he had a falling out with the guy who had written the other story. So then it was, I can't even use these characters anymore. And so there's like, all right, well, tell you what, I'll lay out 6 more pages to this thing that just starts the story off with, basically the other guy's characters dying immediately, like in a ball of fire, So it's like page 1, boom, hey, all my allies are dead. Just because not having there be closure on stuff drives me up the wall.
I mean, how many times have you taken like stuff back from people and just done the layouts from them? I feel like this is a reoccurring theme on your books.
and a lot of the backup stories, there'll be individual panels that I sent back and was like, all right, try it this way and stuff like that. Some people have been super receptive to it and will take the criticism, and other people are like, that's it. That's the straw that broke. And I never hear from them again. It's like,
which one were you, Raven?
I had it easy. I didn't get anything back. I was scared to death. I was like, oh shit. Every time I saw the emails, I was like, oh no. But it was easy. Yeah, I was shaking my boots.
Worked out. That one was good. I had no complaints about that one. That one I had space where I could drop stuff and yeah, that one was a dream. But I've had other ones where it was quite the opposite. It's like, oh, okay, what do I do here? How can I salvage this thing? I had an unfortunate one recently where I had written a story for a guy specifically catered to the characters he wanted to draw, and then he did layouts for it, and I critiqued him on it, and then that just killed him. He just didn't do it, and I kept giving him more and more time on it.
Wow.
And so recently I gave it to another guy, and then the next guy had some troubles too. And it was like, holy crap, man, this is going to be this cursed script that never actually gets finished. But,
comic artists are flakes, man. There's a ton. Like, it's Flake City.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Actually, the Mighty Man thing that was we did. I had written the first chapter of that for somebody else, sent it to them, and they never. I never got anything usable back, and I haven't even told the guy, forget it. It's been drawn by somebody else. It's in print already. If he ever gets his shit together and sends it in, it'll just be like, I hate to tell you this, buddy, but or I'll just script it in such a way that I can make it work anyway, because he'll do something else completely different.
Yeah. And
it's funny how that works. You could just put different words coming out of it and shuffle pages around a little bit, and it's like, oh, that's a brand new story. Check it out. It doesn't look the same. It doesn't quite read the same. So.
Readers are getting deja vu. I saw this fight scene somewhere before. It
seems super familiar. I don't know.
Bulldog soldiers again?
It's again with the bulldogs.
They just turn into cats.
It's just a rut.
Yeah, it's hard. Collaborations, like, my God, is just like... Well, I just tell this story is like me and my friend. I was like talking to him about Megaton Man and Savage Dragon. I was like, how that crossover went. We should do that. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, because that would be super fun. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, and we have the internet. I was like, they were like FedEx and packages and shit. I was like, we can do this real fast because we just email. And he's like, yeah. That shit has been like years. And it's not gonna happen. I don't think. I don't know. Maybe. We'll see.
No, it can just be, it can be Image United, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the shark stopped swimming and now it's dead.
Yeah.
So that's where that ends up sometimes. It's like, that sucks. You want that thing to all come together and for it to be a beautiful, beautiful thing. But at some point somebody's got to actually produce some pages.
And that's where it falls apart.
That's where it all falls apart, Exactly.
I just want to point it out that you brought it up. We weren't going to bring it up at all.
No, at this point, nobody. It's been enough years that it's just this dead thing that isn't anywhere. It's not on anybody's radar. Nobody asks me about it anymore. It's just gone.
Yeah, I think the times you can't. There's nothing you can do now about it.
Yeah, it's
No.
past.
I mean, I have pages here that are done where Malcolm is 9
Little
years
pipsqueak.
old.
He's
You
like
know?
scrawny, right?
Yeah, he's a scrawny little kid, and Angel's in there, and she's this little girl, and it's like this
And
is
Dragon's dead.
and Dragon's long dead. You know, it's like, wow, you guys, way to get your shit together.
Yeah.
Oh, shit happens. It's
Yeah, no, stuff happens. What can you do?
yeah.
Well, I don't know if this is a good wrapping up point. I don't know if
Yeah.
you guys have other questions. I mean, we kind of went through the gamut.
Pretty solid. You mentioned, I'll just throw this out just real quick. You mentioned that you're in a real R-Crumb vibe right now. Like, you got any favorites? Anything that really is like pulling you that you keep going back to? R-Crumb wise? Like a favorite character?
I've just been reading all of it because I got a bunch of his sketchbook stuff, so a lot of that's just random running around doing craziness.
Mhm.
And then the Fantagraphics published the complete Crumb books, and so I've just been reading through those. But my interests they don't last long.
You tired of him already?
It's just how that goes. I mean, very often I'll be like, oh, I'm in this Rick Leonardi place. I'm going to do this Rick Leonardi. I get 3 pages in, and I'm just like, all right, moving on. It's like trying to sustain something for a full issue can be difficult, even, just being like, all right, I'm really into this, and it's like, not so much. It was somewhat different when I was sending stuff to people to be lettered, because I'd have to pencil the whole issue in order to start getting stuff back to be inking it. And so it could be somewhat more of one piece, but that's not so much now. Now it's much more kind of all over the place.
Man, all right. And I guess lastly, I mean, we're breathing down Invincible's end. And I just wanted to say that the thing that gets me is I see all these bummed out Invincible fans, and I just want to shake them and I want to scream, read Savage Dragon, goddamn you, read it.
Yeah.
It's like the Genesis. The Genesis. Because they all
Yeah,
right.
it would be weird for them too, because they would be like, wait a minute. There's a lot of the same kind of themes, a lot of the same kind of stuff.
So I don't get why that doesn't happen. Because if I like a band, I search out similar bands. Like
Yes.
there's not that many
crossover.
comics out there like Invincible.
Yeah.
And it's just weird.
Dragon is like the only comic like Invincible, because Invincible was, cribbing some Dragon stuff. So I'm just saying that's why I'm just like, because me and Jim were even cooking up a thing where we were going to do kind of like a, hey, Invincible readers, come on over. So
Jeez.
Have you seen the last issue, Erik?
Yes, I've seen it. I read it.
heartbreaking, I'm sure.
It is not what I was expecting.
Really?
Huh.
Good to hear.
Yeah.
You can tell us.
It's also great. I was not expecting it to be as long as it was too. It's like,
Is it extra length?
yeah. It's super long.
Awesome.
Well, we already know there's a Corey and Orion part, so I figured.
Yeah. So basically, they both do about an issue's worth of stuff.
Shit, yeah.
So it's super long, and it's like, oh, there's a lot to it.
I think it's coming out in 2 weeks.
I love both.
I'm pretty
these
sure
guys.
we'll probably do a post-episode powwow about it when it comes out.
It blows my mind that Savage Dragon outlasts Invincible. It's like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
Yeah.
But will it
I guess he
outlast
didn't
Walking
wanna-
Dead?
I mean, kind of. I think Ryan wanted to stretch his legs and do some other stuff. He felt like, I've been on this book forever. I didn't really get a chance to draw some of these characters. He never got to draw the Marvel characters.
He's going to go to Marvel and DC and make $1 billion.
Billion.
You know, he's going to go
He's-
there and he's going to find out that, oh, I'm not making the same living I was making when I was doing Invincible.
Yeah,
That's what he's
yeah.
going to find, because he's not going to be getting a big old chunk of those books the way he was getting a big old chunk of Invincible.
Right.
And it's like, oh, eye opener.
It could
Yeah.
maybe be the chance just to play with those toys, you know, too.
There is something to that, and I know that, you know, for a lot of guys, it's like, yeah, but this cover has Batman on it, and I can sell the original art to something with Batman on it, even
Yeah.
if the book's not making the kind of money I was making over here.
Absolutely.
And a lot of it's, you know, just what do you want to do? How do you want to spend your hours? What excites you?
Yeah.
If doing the same book doesn't excite you anymore, it's like, okay, time to do something else.
We
Well,
Otley
okay.
writes his own stuff, so it is kind of
Yeah.
strange. But I mean, I guess it's whatever he wants to do.
But also in your career, if you can say, oh, brought to you by the guy that drew 20 issues of Batman and 15 issues of X-Men or whatever it is, you know, it just kind of hits hard too. Like, you know, with people that want to buy stuff,
Yeah.
to have that kind of background where you've been able to play with the biggest characters in comic books, you know. So I get it in a way. I mean,
Well,
I'm
there's-
looking for whatever he
there's
draws,
still
I'm there.
There's still stuff that I kind of go, man, I wish I got a chance to do, you know, this character or that character. That's still there.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
it's like there's a lot of stuff that I never got to do. You know, it's like I never drew a Wonder Woman story. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
You know, or I never drew. You know, I drew a little bit of Superman stuff, but not enough to the point where I felt like I got a feel for it, or you
I
know,
would love to see Captain America by you. You've never drawn a
It's-
Captain America, right?
ever drawn a Captain America story. I've
Besides like an Avengers Spider-Man issue or something.
yeah, I mean, he's been in stuff a little bit, but even then, it's like I don't draw the way I draw now. Then,
Yeah, right, exactly.
you know, when I had the Fantastic Four show up in Spider-Man, yeah, they were you know, they were of that time. They
Yeah,
were
yeah,
kind of 90s looking. It's
absolutely.
like I wouldn't draw them like that now.
No. Or the Hulk, or you know, whatever.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff. It just time goes on, and it's like, I mean, even if I were to do some Spider-Man stuff now, I think it would look pretty different from the way I was doing it at that point.
But I guess you got your Hulk out in Defenders. That was a great
Yeah,
Hulk.
a
I
little
love
bit.
that issue.
A little
Yeah.
bit. It was kind of nice to be able to at least have a little sense of that. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, let's do that and work with different inkers and try different stuff out. It's like
Absolutely.
it's all fun. But you know, there's constantly stuff like that where you just feel like, no, let me do that. How come I'm not doing that? It's like, you can't do everything, you knucklehead. You know, pick some. And sometimes, you know, and that's what I've done. It's like, all right. Whenever I go and do something somewhere else, it's like, oh yeah, this sucks. I remember this. This is a miserable experience. You mean somebody can say no? That's no good. You can't just have an idea and then just go with it. That's weird.
Especially after having 231 issues of your own comic, I gotta imagine it's, you know, it's a little hard to go back.
Yeah, oh, it's even the limited stuff that I did, just
Yeah.
little stuff, just like, oh my god, I forgot. You know, I did a cover a couple years back for a Superman, and that had Batman on it, and you know, the editor called me up and wanted me to do this cover, and so I was like, all right, and I drew it and sent it through, and he's like, oh man, you're supposed to send a sketch. It's a good thing we like it.
Oh Jesus.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I forgot that there is this process.
Well, I was even surprised by how much kind of friction there was with the Spawn kind of issues. Even like you know, we're not talking Marvel or DC, but I understand McFarlane's got it's his character. But I really thought that Spawn thing was going to last longer, and you know, it just seemed like there was a lot of frustration with that.
Oh yeah, that was the worst.
Well, we can.
That was
easily the worst creative experience I've had in comics. Easily, hands down.
That's
Just because everybody else, I got to get some stuff through, you know. And with Todd, it was, you know, I'm gonna rewrite stuff. I'm gonna redraw stuff. I'm gonna move panels around from one page to another. It's like, holy shit.
that's quite
So
a
that-
statement for an Image Comics founder.
Has that affected your relationship with him at all after that, or are you guys cool?
Yeah, a little
You
bit.
don't have to answer that.
A little bit. I mean, it's the thing was, we weren't prior to working together calling each other up all the time.
Right.
So, you know, we're still doing that. We're not, you know, it's like I'm not calling him up all the time. So has my relationship changed? Well, not really, because that I wasn't anyway.
Right.
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 So it's like, all right, back to that.
I've got kind of a question. Have you seen the Image Revolution documentary?
No,
Okay.
I have not.
Because you were definitely interviewed in that, and you were in it, but I didn't feel you
Yeah.
were in it as much as everyone, as Liefeld and Todd were. And I'm just kind of wondering if you'd seen it, if you would know if like
No,
there's a lot of stuff cut.
I won't. I probably won't ever see it. I'm not a person who enjoys seeing himself
yourself,
on screen.
That makes sense.
So I'm just like, all right, you know, you want to interview me? I guess we'll find a place where this can happen.
I will say it was an informative documentary.
All right.
I learned a lot.
Well, good.
You guys are the Beatles of the comic book industry.
Yeah. I mean, so much. It's like I don't even like doing panels with those guys because it's just like glory days, you know. It just
egos,
It is weird. You've gotten to a point where glory days can feel like it's like a chain around your neck.
I just like, well, what are you doing now? You know, don't talk to me about. Oh man, there was those huge crowds, and it was like we were this. Who gives a shit?
Right.
That's done. What do you got going on right now, and why should anybody care?
Right. Absolutely.
I think that's why we're Savage Dragon fans, Eric, because you fucking just never stop making comics, man. You just fucking kept kicking ass.
Yeah, let's see some more comics. Come on, guys. Get that part going on. That's what I want to see. You know, quit talking to me about working with Alan Moore for crying out loud. Come on. We're past that. That was a while ago, you know? Oh, yeah, those numbers are really great. Oh, okay, you had a big line at that point? Awesome. What are you working on now?
Got a super left field one, probably, I don't know, did we even mention this? But a long time ago, you mentioned it was one of the mysteries of the projects that were coming up. There was the Scooby-Doo house. The romantic comedy screenplay, has that died? Is that dead on the vine?
It didn't go anywhere.
All right.
It's done. I wrote it, and it was more of an exercise just to see, like, oh, can I sit down and write a screenplay? And it's like, yeah, I can do it.
Nice. Did you ever submit it to any like?
There was some agent dude that I was dealing with for a little while, and then I don't give a shit.
Right.
And that's where everything all falls apart.
Yeah.
It'll be like, what? You know, it's like I was talking with somebody about doing something with Ant for a little while, and it was like there's a lot of back and forth on that, and a lot of scripts and flying this way and that, and it was just like, man, this is eating up so much of my time. I just don't care. I don't care. I'd rather do this as a comic, and I'd rather not talk about it anymore. Can we just move on?
Yeah.
Well, that was actually, I was kind of baiting you into that. Is do you ever think it'll resurface as a comic?
What, Ant?
No, the rom-com, the movie.
Oh, no. I don't
Never? Okay.
No, I don't want to draw it. It's not. It's not something to be drawn.
Okay.
I just don't see it as that. I see it as it's supposed to be this one thing. If it's not that one thing, then it'll just be that forever. Maybe someday I'll print it somewhere or just put it on the internet or something. But yeah. Some things I think they're just meant to be
An
certain
exercise.
things. And I think a lot of times when you translate something from being one thing to being another, it loses a lot in the process.
Sure.
And I'd rather just have it be what it's supposed to be, if it's going to be anything ever, or just have that be the end of it.
Right.
Cool.
Certain things like that too. You can take ideas from certain parts and use the ideas of things and change them around.
There's always dialogue that you can just go, all right, Maxine could say this.
Well, I think we've taken up a lot of your time, and
Yeah.
we've kind of
Wasted.
gone through the gamut. But we've had a lot of fun talking to you. There's a lot of issues to go through and a lot of questions to be answered.
I mean, really, anytime you guys want to do this, I'm down for it. So
Yeah, we appreciate that. We really enjoy it.
So
Thank you. Yeah.
all right. Well, thanks guys for this.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, it's great talking to you. Thank you.
I'll get back to drawing more Dragon comics.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Take care.
Talk to you later, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Whew, guys. Whew, boy, are my arms tired. I feel like I've made this joke before. What an interview.
What were your arms doing during the interview?
The flapping.
That's not where my mind went.
What do you think they
Not-
were fapping?
Yeah.
Waka waka.
Oh, Savage Dragon.
So take us home, Raven.
Well,
You got nothing?
are we gonna fucking review Savage Dragon 231?
We talked about
No.
it. We talked about it during the interview.
Oh, did we?
Did you
Oh,
not remember?
I'm so confused.
So long ago.
It feels like forever ago. All right, yeah. Here we go. Savage Dragon 232. Terror in Toronto. Enter the Wraith. He can walk through walls. Nothing can hold him. Nothing can stop him. And only one man dares to try. Malcom Dragon.
And that's
what I got.
Yeah, and that's got that cover with the arms coming through the wall and grabbing Malcolm's face.
Yep.
Which should be released March 7th, I think.
A month from now.
That's my birthday.
Your birthday.
Oh, Savage Dragon on your birthday. There's nothing better.
Are we gonna see like a picture of your like salsa on chips like splattered all over the cover of 232 while you're eating?
It was just
and
gonna
reading
be.
your comic?
It was just gonna be a Twinkie with a candle in it.
Why
No.
salsa on chips for his birthday?
Because every time he gets a new issue of Savage Dragon, he like takes a picture of it next to food and is like always eating chips or something. What do you eat? Like usually chips and salsa, right?
Yeah, the trend started as, this is a deep cut, but chicken sandwiches I have eaten.
Yes.
So as a joke, I don't know why I thought this was funny. I just thought it was like, I would eat chicken sandwiches and put pictures of chicken sandwiches up next to the issue. And
Gotcha.
then that place closed. And so like there's a Mexican restaurant downstairs. And so I was like, oh, sweet. Well, I love Mexican better than chicken sandwiches. So yeah, salsa and chips, baby. They look at me so weird every time I do that.
Did you get nervous, Craig, with the food so close to his issue?
It just makes me laugh.
Oh,
Everybody does, though. Everybody's like, how could you read it with the salsa right there?
that's weird.
And I was like, I don't know. I don't know,
it's
bros.
weird that people say it.
They say it. Everyone
People
says it.
they want to keep their comics pristine.
Not me. I want them to be salsa drenched.
I used to read my comics on the toilet.
I think a lot of people
My
do.
print comics. Near the Dookie water.
Dookie water. Oh, that is a gem.
Or rather, a gym.
A gem. That was a JIMGEM. The Dookie water. Oh. You really made a splash with that one,
Oh, stop, guys. We've lost all of our listeners by this point. But it's good because we're coming to an end anyway.
Well, it's been hours. So.
Hint, hint.
Yeah, it's been. Thanks for listening, everybody.
And most importantly, we are Fin-ished.
Ah.
And we're sorry if we offended anybody.
Oh, God.
No off. No offense.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm not
Fin.
doing this. I refuse.
I was waiting for you. Come on, Craig.
No, I'm not doing it. I refuse.
You drink Dookie water, you jerk. Were you trying to...
Finally done here?
It's over.
There we go.
We killed it.
It's cool.
Peace.
Thanks for goofing around with me, guys.
Oh, stop.
I'm sorry.
Please. Jim, end it, please.